And right now we're going to continue our conversation about expert community together with the head of the Department of the Analysis of the Protection of the Application Positive Technologies, Dmitry Sklar. Hi, Dim. Please take a seat and take initiatives into your hands. Hello. Volodya has introduced me already. I'm involved in IT security as a means of earning money in the last 20 years. I cannot say that I'm the part of the information security community. Well, I'm actively participating in it, but at least I do work with it. And I would like to invite two of our guests. The first one, Alexey Sintsov, and the second one, Boris. And I think they are going to tell you what they're doing right now, but I know those people as people who invested and invest right now into the IS community very actively, and they can tell you a lot about it. So let's begin with Alex. Alex, can you hear me? Alex? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you very well. Hello, thank you. Once again, hello. I know you as the founder of DevCom Group 7720. Let's begin with this. Let's begin when and why you did that. It was a long time ago, in the year 2010 or 2011. I can tell you, well, the community, it's not just about DevCom groups. It has started much earlier. What is a community? These are people who are interested, they get together around the CTF, around, knitting or whatever. But in older days, like in the year 2000, we had communities like hack groups, and people were getting around, writing exploits, breaking something. And I remember when I've been trying to enter the Gene group, it was a tough group, and they were very closed groups because everything was online, and all these hangouts were very local. But when I grew up, all this movement broken through to us. And even in the positive technologies, we made the first conference, more community-oriented conference in 2011, I think. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Yes, and then there was a second conference, Zero Nights, and then other conferences came, and everything started moving, and it became more global. And in our city of St. Petersburg, it was interesting to look not only at our colleagues, but we wanted to communicate with other people, not only via internet, but we wanted to meet and discuss latest achievements, what they do, because we were younger and our interest was just to talk, just to share, to learn what other people do, not just in the internet, but alive. And we wanted to see how it was, it was very fashionable. We wanted to see how it is being done in the West, because, CTF conferences, they were following the analogy, everything was following the template. And even the closed communities that we've seen previously, the Z's that were published, it was a copy-paste, and the idea was the same. And we've looked at DevCom groups. It's a very popular topic. It's not just commercial, and it doesn't have an objective. But, local friends meet together, search for new friends, and we've seen that in Russia we had no single DevCon groups. Like that, why not? We decided, we wrote to the committee, and we've said, okay, let's make a DevCon group #1 in Russia, and let's meet together, and we were permitted. We have received the right to use this DevCon group DCG, DC. We went to a certain registration form, and we started meeting in universities. We started inviting students. They were coming to us. They've been listening at what is being done, hacks or not hacks. And we didn't want to limit ourselves with just hacking or internet security. We wanted to work with artificial intelligence, robotics, and that's how we started these activities. And we have met a lot of different people, and people started networking with each other, and it helped the topic of information security, engineering and technical information security to move and to become more a mass character movement. So making a long story short, something like that. And how many people did you have in the DevCon group in St. Petersburg back in your memory? We started with 18 people. And 8 people, it was me and my friends. We got together to drink some tea and tell stories about our ideas. And then more and more people started gathering around us, and at a certain day we had 60 people. It was like 2012. The group has doubled. It's understandable that 50, it was 60, those who physically came to our meetups, but we had much more people, those who came to every meeting, those who supported us online, and we also been having a lot of friends in Moscow, and first DevCon meetings were happening in Moscow. We came to Moscow State University, Andrei Petukhov was helping us, and everybody had been helping us. That was really cool. And then in Moscow, they started establishing their own groups. In other cities, they started establishing groups. A lot of movements, not just DevCon. These are just peculiarities. But, you know, it did work, because another thing that I would like to tell you about, we wanted to be friends like engineers. They can work anywhere. You know, employer is not important. But what's important is that you're smart and I'm a smart person, and we want to talk about something. The conference is happening once a year. They're very expensive. Sponsors pay money. People go there with presentations. But DevCon, it's local meetings, or for example, you're bypassing through Moscow, you go to bar, drink beer with friends, talk, share your experience, something like that. Well, in addition to meetings, what other activities, joint projects, which became some more significant? Did you have it in your memory, or it was just a good, smart networking with interesting people? First of all, this is a good networking, because we did try to make several projects, because it was interesting to start some movement with those people, but maybe I started too late. For example, we did complete one project about Metaxploit. We've made an expansion for Metapreter, for the reason because I wasn't doing it alone. I found several people in DevCon group who previously I didn't know, and together we made this, and we have developed it to pre-release a situation, but then we did have some problems about personal interests of those developers. But I think that it was a successful project, because I know that people have used it in red teaming in different countries very successfully. So you've done something with the community, and it did some good to some other people. This is nice. We did have some other attempts to do different things, including framework to work with cars. But I see, due to a number of reasons, these projects were too complicated, and the entrance threshold was too high, and communities as such, and in our space, they were not able to work with something complicated as this, to make a product or the open source project. It's very complicated, because people has got older, we got older, we didn't have enough time for that, and a lot of reasons for this, why it's so complicated and why it doesn't work. Well, partially you gave me the answer to my next question, simply about the dates. When did you come to information security? Why did you come there? And when you stopped networking with the community? Because as I understand right now, you have weaker connections to the community than 10 years ago. And why? Yes, I've started in the year 2001 doing the information security. I've started as it was fashionable with e-zine, with Hacker magazine. I was a school kid, and back then I've been showing my interest. Like, if I cannot do push-ups and fight, but well, I can break a computer. It gave me the feeling of power, you know, when I was very young, and it's normal for kids. And it has helped me to move on, and it's nice to feel advantage over other people. But I didn't have any professional activities in this topic. I was a student. Then all my friends went to become Java programmers, and well, community was the only place where you could share your ideas, this hack group or DevCon group, and these people are still communicating. We've been in the same university, we've been working together, and we still communicate with some of those guys, not the main idea. And then we created all those groups. We've been communicating because we had more time. I've been younger, you striving for new knowledge, you want to share your knowledge with your friends. When you become older, you have more work, and you have a lot of responsibilities at work. When you don't work on some project, but you have responsibility for other people at work, when the work becomes more complicated, and you also start having family, and not all people can pay time to the community. So I left 2-3 years ago after my son was born. Yes, I was doing something in the beginning, but then I stopped doing that. Something like that. Okay, thank you very much, Alex. Boris, now I would like to ask several questions to you, Boris. You've been writing that you participate in a number of communities, and I have seen you in IT SecPro course community, and perhaps you're going to be the best person to tell us about it. Can you tell us, please, what you do out there and why do you need all of this? Well, very simple. As you can hear from the name, this group was established. When we've been selecting the name, I've said that if we are not going to invent a name, because we've been thinking in the course of months, let's say IT Sec, we just have invented it, yeah. The main objective was, like everything else, we've been communicating in one of the communities with a number of friends, and they've asked me, they've told me that there is a possibility to get a room. There's a possibility to give a course of lectures in that room. So I gave the course of lectures. Then the guy said that it's not enough. We want to grow, we want to meet, we want to communicate. And that's when we have created this community, which initially we had weekly meetings, then we had some big events, then we've been giving lectures in universities. So the main idea of this community was educational, some additional information security education, because as I see, there are not many universities which can provide good quality education in this sphere. I was a lucky one. For the first time, I've met the community thanks to my university manager, Denis Gomayunov. And back in days, he helped me to come to Positive Hack Days 2013 when I've heard the story by Sintsov about wonderful DEF CON Russia community. So everything was interrelated. Something like that. Well, speaking about IT Sec courses, well, about education, about having more of it, we are not alone in this market. There is education related with CTF, for example, and there are other communities which are delivering this knowledge to the world. So to you, this community is the source of adding to your own knowledge. Initially, it was like that. Yes, I do remember when I've approached my scientific manager and I've said that, well, I have some obstacles in my development. I've stopped my development. And we had a certain circle of people that we've been communicating, sharing our knowledge with, and some teachers that have been teaching, Andrei Petukhov. And back then, at a certain moment of time, I've seen that this information is not enough to me. I started searching for more. I came to DEF CON Moscow, which was headed by Georgy Lagoda and Alexander Antukh. And since then, it was the year 2013-14, I started actively participating in this community. Then I started traveling to DEF CON Russia. I started supporting other communities like DEF CON Nizhny Novgorod and others. Well, I will ask same questions like I've asked to Alex. Why and when did you come to information security and what you do as your main type of activities at work? Well, it was back in 2012. I've discovered that what I wanted to do in university, this is not available anymore. And just walking around the university, I met Daniil Sigailov, many know, and Andrei Petukhov reads a very interesting course about internet security. And he said, I go to this course, can you go with me? So I came to this course. I've heard a story of Andrei Petukhov about the web. I liked it. I started going to this course. I took it. Well, I've been doing a lot of interesting things from the programming point of view, from the point of view of getting around the defense securities in the games. It was about fun, nothing difficult was about it. But then I got into it. I've understood that you can earn money there. And right now I'm working and I'm the head of the red team. I'm not going to tell you where, but in the last 3 years we've been doing red teaming in different companies. So simulation, pen tests, attacks and something like that. And your participation in the community, does it help you in your main work, or you invite people from work to the community and they help to the community? And how do you network between the community and the business? Is it possible? Is it efficient? Is it giving some dividends? Well, yes, the simplest example is that in the beginning, IT SEP courses, we've been going to Yandex, then we've been meeting in our university, and you also been giving us lectures about reverse engineering, how entertaining and interesting is this, and let's everybody do the reverse engineering, you said to us, something like that. Business is able to be friend of the community, but the community should not become business. That's the key point. Community should not become business. These are different things. But when companies support community, this is the right thing. Because there are a lot of different examples, like Zero Nights, for example, DEFCON Russia plus digital security, they have united together and they made a conference. Well, this synergy allows us to do some cool things, conferences, organize meetups like we've been doing at Yandex back in days. It's not a PR. I think that companies, they also should move forward and make steps to us, because community and attraction of the community shows that you're an adequate employer and people are not going to be afraid to work for you. Also, there are things like when we know that HR people, they are not always properly do their job, and sometimes we ourselves have to search for programmers, and the best place to search for good IT specialists is through the communities, like whether I'm looking for a job or I'm offering job, and it regularly happens in our community, something like that. So the key thing is to help and to find a job. For example, you want to change your employer, or maybe you want to help yourself to find a good team if you miss some particular skills, because companies are growing, they have more vacancies, and like some people are burnout and they go to other areas, some people go to IT, some people become barista from IT. So community is some kind of a safety net that helps you to find a way out. Alex said that he stopped actively participating in the life of the community when he had less time. Also, when the child was born, his life structure have changed. Right now, do you have enough time, and how much time do you spend for this activity, for the activity which doesn't give you any money? Yes, I'm losing money on this activity. I don't raise any money on this activity, but time-wise, right now I spend less time due to my work, position, and other life things. But I should say that Alex is a little bit from evil one when he says that he is not participating in the community. Like as a beginner specialist, and he does participate on the level of when you are a specialist with a big background, when you have serious knowledge and serious skills and you narrowly specialize, you're not interested to communicate with everybody. You're interested to communicate only with those people who can help you in something, meaning people with whom you can discuss one stack of technologies, people of Alexey's level. They are meeting in a very closed groups, they communicate with themselves. So that's right, Alexey. Am I right? Yeah. Not respecting to the fact that there's a closed group, you still call it a community, because community is not a closed group. It's not a place where anybody who wants to come comes. It's a group of like-minded people, and then it's being limited by some other conditions. Well, from this side, you are right, and I'm talking from the point of view that everything evolves, including people and communities, and like I've just told you, with time, people go and split into smaller groups, which doesn't mean that Alexey does not participate in the sound chat or he doesn't come to DEFCON Russia meetings. Well, it means that his participation is smaller, like mine as well. Maybe he participates in other groups, in other chats, and more attention is paid to some specific chats and specific groups. And these are the same people. If you will look at those private, closed groups, these are the same people who previously were the backbone of the big community previously, but as a fact, due to the fact that these are the same people, maybe it became a closed community afterwards, but it continues to be a part of the common movement. Roughly speaking, if you will show yourself good in an open type of the community, you will be invited to the closed community. Yeah, something like that. Nobody argues against that. There are certain selection activities where you have to show that you're a good researcher and developer and whatever. That's clear. Thank you. And now it's a question to both of you. We have agreed that community is a disadvantage. You spend your efforts and your money, but if you do it, it means you mean something. You need something from it. What do you get from the community? At the initial stage, when you cannot offer anything to the community, and maybe on the stage when you are a professional, when you are answering questions and not asking them. So why you do that right now? What moves you right now when you're in the community, being a professional? Feedback of other people, because it's about education. People who say thank you to you for changing their lives, for finding their way, and person found a good job or decided that information security is not for him and he changed his movement. So it's a feedback from people. I have a friend, good friend, Evgeny, and he says that this is also to scratch my ego. Well, something like this. These are altruistic things to help others. And you have to remember how I've started my movement in this community. And Alexey was saying that we've been meeting because of the knowledge. We've been missing some knowledge, and I'm searching for this knowledge for people who can share their experience in this knowledge, and they have accumulated more information about this skill. It's not that I will research it all myself, read the article, make experiments, but to simplify this way of searching for this knowledge. And then I do the same in their direction. I share my knowledge. So this is for the mutual benefit. That's the main purpose of the community. Yes, I have the same vision, and I can give you another example. When we've been meeting in the first community together with Eldar in the first year, when I was more in a defensive team, it was interesting to learn how it was done in different communities, and you understand that they solve the same problems. They talk about them in some conferences in dry language, but when you talk to the person and you speak about your problem, he says that we have solved this problem this way. This is a live conversation with the participants of the community. They do something better than you do. You ask questions and you learn in the format which you need. One thing, when you came to the conference or you read a presentation by a person who gave the message which he wanted to say, but you can specifically say, we do it this way. What do you think? Will it work or it won't work? And what do you think about this, dear friends? And then you start interesting conversation. Dialogues, and from these dialogues you get to certain understanding, and this is done in a non-formal way. This is the main idea of the community, about the benefits, as it was properly said. Definitely, no matter what people say, but if the person goes to different presentation, sells his face, of course, no matter whatever you speak about the altruism, it's not all this way when you sell yourself, like some people do. Oh, I have find access, please take me and I will debug your software. No. Of course, maybe it's not such a hyperbolized, but you make yourself a name, and then you sell this name at the conference. Hello, I'm this and this. Well, this is not the main factor, but the older you become, the less you care about those things. But in the beginning, when you're a young specialist, it does influence you. You learn about more people who can hire you, and from the point of view of the employer, I should mention, different companies support the community because they get access to more interesting employees interested in this job, not just to sit on their butts, but they are also interesting. You can get more profit from the same people for getting more money. So there is a lot of mutual benefits. So it's a win-win situation, I would call. Everybody gets either knowledge, either connections, and I would like to add international connections, because you build a community, you invite people like Dima was coming to us, you build connections, Dima knows you, you know Dylan, Dylan knows somebody else, you know how it's done at the Hitbox and Hackbox, you know about CTF, and this is a big boiling pot of non-formal knowledge and information. I would like to point some other factors. When on such closed communities we have people who share information from 0 day and techniques which will be told about during on the Black Hat. But it's interesting, you know, you're on the front lines before it was even published, and you learn about interesting things. And I speak about DSMB, and these are also interesting things. When Alex came and told us some cool things which have later been published. So it's a lot of different wins. Of course, you spend your time, but other people also spend their time on you in parallel. So everything is honest. Something like that. Well, you mentioned CTF. What do you think about CTF and as a way of accumulating knowledge and as a community and in general, even though I understand you do not participate in CTF games? Losha, will you be the first one? Okay. I respect CTF, and I think that people who do it, it's great respect to them. And I remember that I was going to Positive Technologies. I've been looking at our St. Petersburg team, CTF team. Well, I see, well, they have good points. Well, I see CTF for the first time. I see what objectives they solve. Well, this is a very difficult. I'm zero in those tasks, and they are solving them, and they solve them very fast. Maybe I would solve this objective within 2 days, but he does it within 1 hour. That's why CTF is so cool, how it structures some approaches, techniques and knowledge. But at the same time, I see other CTFers, and another example is that CTF at the same time is too far away from reality, because people solve objectives which might have answer in advance, but they solve it in a totally different way that organizer was not thinking about, and this is cool. But when it happens like that, CTF one CTF is different from another CTF, and it's not interesting to me, because those people live in some predefined world, and from one side it doesn't really help from one side at real work, because people start measuring everything in the conditions of CTF. When I speak with a person that we have free time, what are we going to do? He said, let's play CTF, let's search for the bugs. Well, why do we need to search, spend time for CTF? Let's search for 0 day. I would like to learn about something that I don't know, and I will get more profits from this side. I will find a certain bug and I will debug it, or maybe I'm not going to find anything, but I would like to search for something in the unknown. Boris, what do you think about it? Well, 4 years I've been playing CTF in different teams, good teams. I think that CTF is good if we have a good competition, because everything depends from tasks, from their complexity, from how they've been built. If it's not some stupid task for ACF injection or something like that to get the immediate result, but there are some hardcore tasks, and in the framework of those tasks they find 0 days, because they didn't know that this is a 0 day before a certain time, when he was told that, well, it's real 0 day, you know, man. Generally speaking, I take CTF positively. This is a very good way of accumulating experience, especially if you play good CTF. But recently, I see a lot of low-skill CTFs, just simple contests with those weak tasks. I don't understand what can you learn from them, and I don't understand people who participate there. So I agree with Alex on them. That's my opinion. Generally, CTF is not bad. Yes, of course. Just in my work related to reverse engineering and hiring people who will do reverse engineering, very often I've seen situations when a person plays good CTF and he's very good reverse engineer, but on real objectives and real situations he gives less benefits than people who never played CTF. But at the same time, there are people who both play CTF and solve objectives. So there is no direct dependency between playing CTF and practical objectives, practical tests. Well, this is a good meme. It's better to research than to play CTF. But if you make a choice, the motives, like Losha said, to search for 0 day in something that he never searched for, or play CTF for a person who just graduates from the university, he doesn't work anywhere, he's not burdened with a family, what would you propose to develop and a better vector of development for such a person? Both. Well, everything depends on your time. For example, if back in my days in university everybody would play CTF, maybe I would play CTF as well. But because when I started in the year 2000, when everybody had been defending sides and there was no choice, I've been also doing that same thing. I've been bugging and debugging. So the community defines what you do. If you was born with ravers, you're a raver. If you're born with rappers, you're a rapper. So if all your friends are CTFers, you will also be a CTFer, and you don't have a lot of choice. But I don't see anything bad in any of them, because there can be advantages here and there. Everything depends on the person. So whatever is closer to your heart, whatever is giving your benefits and pleasure. Boris? I agree. I have absolutely similar thoughts. But we should look at, as you properly said, that when people come without realistic objectives, if CTF tasks do not cover real-life situations, and you want to be involved in a certain area, and you want to be involved in real objectives, you should start researching. No options. But if there is a certain area which has a direction of CTF which covers your area of activity, why don't do CTF then? Because in principle you can try both if you have enough time. Perhaps this is one of the basics. Of course, look at your time and look at what you want to do. Well, from my point of view, I did participate in several CTFs. It was never regular, and I never played for serious teams, but CTF has a cool gamification thing when education is done through the drive with the game, but in addition to that, everything faces the quality of the objectives. Basically, the game CTF is a win-win for the participant, not because it's good for the participant, but because it's a good objective. So you have to play in proper CTFs. Is that right? Yes, I agree. Once again, if you have a certain area which doesn't cross with CTF and the research that you do, then don't go there. You don't spend time for things which are not interesting, just spending your time in vain. That's clear. Thank you. And we have little time left, just 5 minutes. I would like to briefly draw a line. Well, the community is built, and we are speaking about the information security community, which is related to the information security. They are built to find knowledge and not to get some specific result, but to learn about something new, to explain others this something new, and maybe build connections with other smart people. Am I right? Yes. Cannot argue. I'm asking. Maybe there's something else that you would like to add to my statement. We completely agree with you. Wonderful. Let's say that right now it's much more complicated for you and much more complicated for me to look from the point of view of the novice, a person who understood that information security is interesting to him. He had a vision, for example, and this person wants to effectively and quickly to dive into this. What would you recommend to this person? Which community should he enter, and how should he increase his knowledge? Well, I think it doesn't depend on the community. If you ask this question this way, everything depends on the person, what he wants, what she wants. Community is just an addition to his path. He can select any community, and of course, this community should bring him some benefits. For example, if the person comes to this community, he likes to communicate with these people, he seems benefits from the information that's being given to them, that is his community. This can be DEFCON group, this can be something else. I don't know. hyper attack community, whatever, any community. If you like it, if you get positive information, then this is the community that you need. But if you're young and you just begin, you just have to not to be afraid, and you have to try to do something yourself, and it's not related to the community. You should do that no matter what. If you don't get the result, you still do it. Next time it is going to work out. It's the result of your work, and there is nothing else to that. So try, if you like it, do more and more. If you don't like, go to another community, right? And about community, it works also with that. You can enter 10 communities, of course. There's nothing bad about that, but you are not going to have enough time to go into 10 communities. Well, let's see. We can look at this under another angle. You can enter any community, and you can say that you like some AWASP or any other software, and you should find a person, for example, who is involved in web. You like the reverse engineering, find somebody who does the reverse engineering, like VR0. And out of what I see in chats, person enters, he says, I'm interested in web, and I would like to find ideas, and I would like to find people who are involved in web. So he's given some names, he's being sent to a proper chat, he gets links where he's going to get this information. Right now there's a lot of communities, which is good, because there is more hacking, of course, and hacking is more differentiated. And even if you look at reverse engineering is in different areas, and you can find any group of interest. You shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't enter community and silently wait for maybe somebody will write something to the thing you're interested in. No, you should actively ask questions. And if somebody is being tough, don't pay attention to this guy, because in all chats there are adequate and inadequate people, you know. And that's how it works. So Alexey properly said, if a person wants, he will achieve. And right now all the possibilities are available in all the communities. Same CTF. If you want to go to CTF, go to CTF. No problem. Well, then drawing a line under whatever you said, we recommend to young people, don't be afraid to go to communities, participate in their lives. And through this, they will develop themselves, and they will help developing others. And ahead of you, you will have good and successful career in the information security area. Is that right? Well, generally, yes. If you are not going to quit, and what I have noticed, if you're active, if you participate, then yes, it works. If you're just sitting and reading books passively, it might help you if it's not just a fluke. That's right. But active participation, it relates to your connections, you build closer connection with other participants, and also it influences positively your experience. Thank you very much, guys. It was very interesting to communicate with you, and I hope viewers liked it. Right now, our time is coming to an end, and I would like to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for coming and speaking in front of us. See you next time, and success to all of you. Thank you, Dima. Thank you, Boris, and goodbye.